Yeah, John here.
Te necesitamos en el teatro.
Upa!
El mundo del espectáculo no es para ti.
Oh, sorry.
Tu apellido no va con Hollywood.
Ponte metas realistas.
Sorry, excuse me.
Necesitas material más fresco.
Your talent is not enough.
That accent is so difficult to understand.
I got this.
You need to stand out.
Busca un trabajo de verdad.
No tienes la imagen que estamos buscando.
¿Eres gracioso?
¿Por qué
Hazme reír.
escoges esta
Te
carrera?
lo digo porque
Tienes que
quieres.
intentar hacer comedia, no es fácil.
Presentamos.
Right, here we go, people. Here we go.
Monetizamos.
Look how far we've come, huh?
Thank you, PepsiCo, for your contribution to SARE and for making this virtual program possible this year. Now, we hear and read about Latinas empowering Latinas more often than ever before, and this has been made possible by the work of leaders like Merary Simeon, VP of Diversity and Inclusion at PepsiCo. She has been a champion for diversity and inclusion in the workplace and is a co-founder of Color Forward, a podcast dedicated to advancing multicultural women. And today, Merary will be inspiring us to practice self-care and show us how to stay positive as we adapt to a new era. We are excited and honored to speak with you, Merary. Thank you for joining us today. There you are. Hi.
Here I am. Hello. How are you? Buenas tardes. So good to be here with you all.
Buenas tardes to you too. It's great to virtually meet you. I've heard so much about you and I cannot wait to see your presentation.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
And
Awesome.
while we're waiting on that, I know Raul will queue up your presentation. Would you like to share a little bit more with our audience while Raul is doing that?
Absolutely. And I love the video that we started with because it talks about, look how far we come. Hoy es tu tiempo, hoy es tu hora. I think about all the amazing speakers you had here today, and I couldn't be more proud to speak to you today. I am Merary Simeon. I am a mother, I am a daughter, I am a wife. I could definitely relate to all the amazing stories that you heard today. And I'll tell you a little bit about that. I was the first one and the only one to graduate high school in my family. The first one and only one so far to be in a corporate environment. I am the daughter of two hardworking factory parents who worked for over 30 years to make sure that we have what we have today. So it's been an honor, and definitely for many, many years, my why has been, and it will continue to always be, to get out of poverty. That's how my life journey started. Just thinking, you know what? I don't want to live like this. I want to do something different. And more than anything, I wanted to give back to my parents. I wanted to be able to take care of them the way that they took care of all five of us. So with that said, I see the presentation. Why don't we go ahead and go to the next page and let's get started. Today, I want to talk to you about arise and shine. And what is that? Levántate y brilla. Today is our time. We'll discuss how I've been doing that each day. And that has been the only way that I can do things in order to achieve what I have today. You know, the speakers told you there are going to be hard times, but you know what? We are ready. And we need to get ready if you're not ready. Why do I say that? Let's go to the next slide. Being. What does being mean? Being means being alive. But how many of us today are just, going through the day, going to work, going to school, just taking each moment, but we're really not living. We're really not enjoying everything around us. Let's go to the next slide. So I want to talk about arise and why arise is important. What does that mean? I'm here, I'm awake, I'm with you today, I'm here with Sid. I can hear the lawnmower too, also in my background. I can hear the kids playing outside. I'm alive, I'm here, 100% of me. Next slide, please. And then when I have that, it shines. It will shine. People around you are going to be like, what are you doing? What is it that you have so much energy around you? And shine means very talented, high performer. It's when you're living in the moment and you have all that energy, you're going to be at your highest peak, at your highest performance. Let's go to the next slide. Unfortunately, many times, this is the only light we see. is we're on empty. So how many of you this is the only light that you see? It's like we're driving on empty. We're tired. If you're anything like me, I mentioned to you that I'm a mother. So I got married at 38. I had my first child at 40, second at 42. So let me tell you, my children are young. They're 6 and 4 today. And I am an executive. And at the same time, I try to do the podcast on the side and do so many community work service. Sometimes I'm driving on empty. And the only way I can do all that is by this formula that I'm going to share with you, because the hard times are going to come. They're going to come, and that's okay. You just got to be ready. So let's go to the next slide. Did you know that $500 billion annually are lost in businesses due to stress? And what does that mean? And this is going to be the only time I get really scientific with you. What that actually means is that when you get stressed, it impacts your thinking brain, your emotional side. And a lot of the times the emotion signal gives an alarm to the brain and receives information before you even have the option to consider other things or what are some of the things that you can do. So we have to be ready to deal with these things. Let's go to the next slide. Stress is like this. I'm sure some of you are familiar with those spokes on the bicycle, right? And what does that signify? It signifies, I would say right now, the stress level. So for example, if one spoke breaks, that's okay. You're still going to be able to ride the bicycle. If more spokes break, you will continue to still ride it. But you never know when it's that last spoke that when it breaks, that's it. The bike can't be ridden anymore. Now with the pandemic, the elections, the loss of loved ones that so many of us have had to endure, losing work, thinking, oh my God, I'm failing as a mother. All these limiting beliefs that come into our lives that are trying to break those spokes. Let's go to the next page. And then this is what happens to many of us. When the demand meets the capacity, we begin to experiment different things. We're going on little sleep, we're wolfing down fast food, we are fueling up on coffee if you're anything like me, or some of us are even taking pills or medication or doing drugs just to get us to calm down. And I'm going to give you a really quick example. When I had the opportunity to go work in Latin America. I was young at the time, I wasn't married, I was living in a beautiful condo and in Puerto Rico. And I worked so hard because remember I told you my why. My why was to get out of poverty. My why was I wanted to make sure that I provided for my parents. And I worked so hard, 12, 14, 15 hours, 16 hours a day, that I burned out. I didn't take care of myself and I almost threw away my dream. I almost threw away everything that I had worked so hard for. Because I wasn't sleeping, because I wasn't taking care of myself. I went into depression. And you know what I started doing? My friends, they meant well. They started taking me out. But then what did I start doing? I started drinking. And you start getting into drugs and doing things that you're like, there's no way, what's going on? Until you hit depression. And that is the reason why I'm standing here today. Because we cannot let the fact that we don't take care of ourselves destroy what we work so hard for. Similar to the stories before us, I too was on remedial classes. I too failed a few of those classes before I was able to get a degree. But I went and I went to school. God, I've been going to school as far as I know, probably like the past 20 years. I went to school at night to get my associates, at night to get my bachelor's, in the weekends to get my master's. And I've been studying at night and on the weekends. Hopefully, God willing, I'll be able to graduate next year with my doctorate degree. It takes work, but I cannot do all this without taking care of myself. Let's go to the next slide. This is important because it impacts our leadership capability. And now you may be thinking, well, I don't have a leadership role. No, this is all types of leadership. This is not just in the corporate office. This is in your job. This is your ability to lead your life, your ability to lead your family. Stress clouds our judgment. And when I talk about leadership capability, ability, it has to do with everything. Stress impacts productivity, the way you think, the way you react, the way that I react with my children, with my husband, the way that I react towards work. Let's go to the next page. And what the number one reason that this is happening is because we're trying to pour out from an empty cup. As a Latina, I know that I give a lot, and I'm sure I'm no different than many of the other women that are listening today, because that is what research shows us. We continue to give from an empty cup. And during these difficult times, it is time that we rebound. I'll tell you a quick story. My mom was in the hospital 2 years ago, and I stayed with her for 7 days. And that's when it realized to me, what are you doing? You know this formula. Why are you not practicing it? And the one thing that got me thinking is, why is it? Why is it that I'm falling apart? I almost ended up in the hospital bed next to her because I couldn't take it. The stress was so big. Let's go to the next one. The reason why I want to talk to you about this today, because to keep your vitality, to keep your life, and why it's so important for us to take care of ourselves, it's like a river without water. Think about this. When you have a river, you start seeing all the greens, all the trees, all the animals. Everybody wants to go to it because it's producing fruit. You'll be able to produce fruit. But when the river dries, the vegetation dies, right? The animals start going someplace else. Why is that? Because we start getting cranky, because we start getting moody, because we go into depression, because we're hating the world. So nobody wants to be around us. We have to take care of ourselves so that we could be that light, so that we can rise and we can shine. Let's go to the next slide. To nurture yourself and to take care of yourself, it takes discipline, lots of discipline, but it can be done. It takes resiliency, but it can be done. Let me tell you why. Many of you are immigrants. Many of you, English is your second language. Do you think that you didn't have to fight to where you are today? You already have resilience. You already built that resilience. All I'm asking you today is to use it a little bit different so that you can take care of yourself. Put yourself first. Like they say, put your mask on first when you're on the plane. Let's go to the next slide. Research shows happiness makes you more productive. That is a fact. Let's go to the next one. However, you have to take action. And to do that, you got to learn to disengage. Yes, you heard me. You have to learn to carve out time to do those things that bring you joy. And I'm going to give you a formula. Let's go to the next page. And this is a quote from the book, The Corporate Athlete, which is what I'm going to base this on. At the most practical level, our capacity to fully reach our fullest potential is to disengage. Because stress is not the problem. Guess what? We need stress in our lives. Stress is what pushes us to the next level. And it could be good. We actually need stress to mobilize, to get up in the morning. It's a certain amount of stress that gets you up to go to work. It's a certain amount of stress that gets you up to do your schoolwork. But it's stress paired with full recovery that continues to fuel the resiliency that you need to manage all of the craziness that this world has to throw at us. So the key word is recharge. Next slide, please. Today, I'm going to share my experiences when it comes to this formula. There have been books written about this. You see it there. I'm not going to get into all that, but it's by the author that did The Corporate Athlete. These are the four: physical capacity, emotional capacity, mental capacity, and spiritual capacity. This is what's worked for me. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about how that has worked in my life and how that has kept me going. It keeps me going every day to be a better executive, a better mother, a better student, and a better person to serve the community. Because I ask myself, why doesn't somebody take care of that? Why doesn't somebody do this? Why doesn't somebody do that? And I realized one day, I am that somebody. So I need to get it together. I need to take care of me so that I can start making happen the things that I see around me that are not benefiting my community. So let's go to the next page. It's about how we spend our time, how we spend the energy, not the time, I apologize, is how we spend our energy during the time, during the 24 hours that we have in the day. How do we spend our time? Because that is the key to your performance. So let's go to the next page. It starts with physical endurance, right? And you see there really big that it says discipline, because physical builds endurance. This is the key thing. One of the things you continue to hear is that this COVID has hit our community extremely hard, extremely hard. I've lost more people than I can count. It is more than ever critical for us to take care of our bodies. And you probably heard this and you're probably tired of hearing it, but I'm going to tell you again. You want to reach your dreams, you want to reach your fullest potential. We need to take care of our physical. And let me tell you why this is the basis of that pyramid. Your health is the foundation of everything you do. Everything. You have to train your body every day to do something that you don't want to do. I can tell you that. Every day, still through COVID, I get up at 5 in the morning because I have little ones, and once they get up at 6:30, it's over. And I either walk, I either do some exercise at home, but I do something. You know why? There's different benefits to it. Regular exercise, even if it's 15 minutes of walking, reduces depression. Now, I want to make sure that we know this is not a replacement for medical help. However, physical activity, research shows it reduces depression. It actually improves your sleep. It boosts your metabolism. It helps your mood. There's 1,001 reasons, but I'm not going to get into all of them. It takes a little bit. Start small. Wake up and just walk around. If you're at work, on your break, walk around. Start building in your physical. I run, well, I haven't lately, but I typically try to run half marathons. And I started without even running a mile, walking. But it's every day you build up, and that's when it works. Let's go to the next page. These are some of the benefits. Again, exercise is not intended to be a substitute for professional advice, but it does help with your memory and thinking, helps with your self-esteem. How many of us now are counting on the likes on TikTok, on Facebook, on Instagram to build our self-esteem? All you have to do is go for a walk for 15 minutes and your self-esteem will boost. You don't need the likes of the world. You got it in you what you need. It gives you more energy. Trust me, all this energy is not from coffee. It's from taking time, spending the little time, putting positive energy inside of me. Okay, so it's not too late. And let me tell you why. I know we hear that a lot. And I know we talked about not being too late for going to school. Let me tell you why it's not too late for your physical. I love showing this picture. I follow this woman. She's alive and she's on Facebook. For those of you who are social media, she's also on Instagram. Her name is Ernestine Shepherd. And she started working out at 56. Look her up. She looks exactly like that. Exactly like that today. So it's not too late. It is not too late. My parents are 71 and 72 right now. My dad has really bad diabetes, and it's definitely been a concern for us. I started walking with him just a little bit, right? Here and there. He's moving better now than he was 10 years ago. So just keep that in mind. Start small. You don't have to go run a marathon, but definitely start. It takes discipline, determination, dedication. Ernestine's still alive today. She's 84. And she looks amazing. But let me show you if that's not enough. Let's go to the next page. To achieve the freedom to win in your physical health, it takes work. But it is up to you. These two women are the same age. You choose how you want to spend the rest of your life. I know there are times that there are different things that not allow us to maybe take care of the physical. But if you are blessed to have the opportunity to take care of it, do something about it. Let's go to the next one. I want to spend a little bit time talking about the emotional side. This is critical. Because for me, one of the things that I do is I volunteer to fight homelessness. And I'm on the board of Back on My Feet. And one of the reasons why I do that is twofold. One of the things that we found is, as I mentioned, When you exercise, it reduces depression and it boosts your self-confidence. We do this because then it impacts your emotions. And through this program that we have on this board, we currently have 83% of our people that were homeless who stay with their jobs and with the house, with the apartment, or however we're able to help them. 83%. This is how critical physical exercise is. It actually impacts your emotion. So let's go to the next page. Positive emotions ignite your energy and it drives your performance. There are many times when we let stress drive our emotions. And listen, it happens to me all the time. But when we sit back and we use the power of cause, we are able to then impact our emotions and drive them. What happens? Let's go to the next page. When your emotions take over, we get this big, I can't do it. We get all these limiting beliefs. Let me give you an example. For me, when I first decided that I wanted to go to college, I was in high school. I had a teacher tell me, let me step back. There was a contest to win a scholarship and you had to write. And I asked the teacher and she said, oh, you're going to end up pregnant and on drugs just like all the other girls are in this school. And I was like, whoa, right? She told me I'm not smart enough. This is the power that a teacher could have on you, right? I was depressed about that. And I'm like, yep, that's going to be my life. Thankfully, I had another teacher who said, you can do this. You got this. I will help you. And she did. And she changed my life. Because my parents couldn't afford college, but I was able to get a scholarship to start in the community college at the time. And I was able to do that. So because I had a teacher that said, Merary, you can do this. You can do more. You can do so much more. And you know what else she did? She became a sponsor. She found me an intern job at a corporation. And she said, this is what Merary brings. She's a little raw on her leadership skills, but she definitely got them. And she backed me up. So there were insecurities. Today, I have tons of insecurities. But because I take care of myself, I'm able to fight them back. My insecurities today is I'm not a good mother because I spend so much time at work. But you know what? The time that I spend with my kids, we enjoy. And as of today, my kids still love me. My husband still loves me. And I have my parents to enjoy. So don't let the enemy drive those emotions that then make you quit. Let's go to the next page. Another thing that I have found is that we have a hard time forgiving ourselves. Or sometimes we have a hard time forgiving others. Let me give you an example. For a long time, I let what that teacher said, the negative stuff, drive me to do what I do. So I actually took that negative energy and used it for positive. But guess what? It caught up. And that's why I burnt out. That's why I got depressed. That's why I almost lost the dream job that I have. That's why I almost lost, the opportunity to have the family that I do now. I should have forgave her. I should have forgave myself. So sometimes we need to forgive somebody that has told us that we're not smart. And let me tell you when I actually forgave her. It was 2 years ago. I was taking a training on presentation skills, and the trainer said to me something, and she's like, oh, you're so smart, whatever, repeat this. And one of the things I had to repeat was that I was smart. And I could not repeat that I was smart, because that little girl, when she was in high school, was still living in that moment when somebody told her she wasn't smart enough. And my whole life, I've been fighting to prove to this woman that I was smart. And I still get a little emotional about it talking, because I was hurting myself. I needed to let that go. It was 2 years ago. I'm 47. 2 years ago, it took me to forgive this teacher. And now I have a freedom to say, you know what? I'm smart. That's right. I'm about to get my doctorate. I have an amazing career. I have an amazing family. I'm smart. But I needed to forgive her to let that go. And there are many times that we do not allow, that we allowed our pride to get in the way, and we don't forgive those people that hurt us. I didn't know that that was so rooted and so deeply in my heart that it was driving my emotions. So if there's somebody that you need to forgive, do it. Put the pride aside. Let go of the bitterness, the wrath, the anger. Let go of that. it's only going to help you take care of yourself better and take you to that next level. Let's go to the next page. One of the things that we don't realize many times is that there are many layers to our emotions, to our brokenness. We develop and elaborate these systems to deal with the brokenness that we have. I was broken from what that teacher told me, and not just the teacher, many family members. Sometimes the people that we love are the ones that end up saying, you're just like your grandmother, you're just like, this and that. And sometimes that's a good thing, but other times it's like, what did you mean? Right? So sometimes it is hard for us to see that level of brokenness that we have. So what are some of the things that we use? Let me tell you, let's go to the next page. This was one that I was using, shopping. If I would have gotten another Amazon box over here, I think my husband would have lost it. I get stressed, I start shopping online, on anything, forget it, even if I don't need it, I just buy it. And then I get depressed and stressed out because then I see my credit card bill. And I'm like, what was I thinking? I don't even need that. What is the other thing I do? I eat a lot, binge, like a whole cake and a whole thing of cookies. To the point where one day my kid said, and again, this is something that we go through every day. So you just got to catch yourself and be like, okay, I got to get back to it. I remember my family saying, we can't keep any sweets in this house because you eat it all. And I'm like, that's a problem. So what are some of those mechanisms? Other mechanisms that I use when I feel like I start getting depressed, I shut down from the world. I don't want to talk to my friends. I don't want to talk to the loved ones. I just shut down. Why am I telling you this? You need to be able to identify these mechanisms that you have created to protect yourself when in reality, they're hurting you. Once you recognize them, you need to look at them and call them by their name. This is the limiting belief that I'm not good enough. That's not true. I am perfectly fine and I could do this. Let's go to the next page. One thing I want you to remember today is that the greatest limitations you will ever face will be the ones that you put on yourself. It is now time for you to embrace who you are. Embrace the accent. Embrace the curves. Embrace where your family comes from. For years, I was embarrassed to talk about where my family, and that we were poor and that we did this and that. Now it's like, that's my great... Let me tell you, the resilience that I built because of those experiences, I bring them to work every day, and it makes me that much stronger. Do not let people, society, anybody tell you what your limitations are. You build those on yourself. And then you know what you do with them? Go and be a role model. Show them how it's done. This is what a role model looks like. One that has cried, that has been in pain, that has lost loved ones, that has, been poor. This is what one looks like. It can be done. And I'm just here today, humbled to show you what has been the key to my success. Let's go to the next page. The other thing I want to tell you is it takes courage. It takes tons of courage. It is not going to be easy, and you're going to have to do it afraid. Let's go to the next page. So I'm going to tell you this today. When it comes to the emotional side, that promotion that you think you're not good enough for it, go for it. Change your way of thinking. Change those emotions. That coach that you want to get, hire it. Don't wait for somebody to invest in you. Invest in yourself. That family that you want to start, go for it. There's never going to be a right time. But you're worrying about being a mother and being older? Trust me, as a 47-year-old woman, mother of a 6 and a 4-year-old, it's hard, but it can be done. It can definitely be done. You want to buy that pet? Go buy that pet. You want to go on your vacation? Okay, now it's a little bit limited with COVID. Go as soon as that's taken care of. You want to visit that family member? Go. You want to have that career conversation? Have it. Do not let the limiting beliefs, do not let those emotions get into your head. And I'm going to talk about that next. Because once they do, you become a slave to that. Let's go to the next page. These are also some other examples that I wanted you to consider. Ask yourself, what is the worst thing that can happen? The worst thing that can happen if you ask for that promotion is that they're going to say no. So what? You're already there. What is the worst thing that can happen if you start going to school at a late age? That I won't finish? What is the best thing that could happen? That you will. Let me give you a story. I have a friend, Maryanne, and she started going to school at the age of 40, graduated with her bachelor's and now her master's. She's 55 now, I believe, and she just got promoted to be a director. It's not too late. It is not too late. Do not let anybody tell you you're not smart. Do not let anybody tell you that you don't got it in you. I don't care how old you are. You can make it happen. My sister is 55 or 56, and she's just finally getting her GED. Listen, go for it. Don't let anybody tell you that it can't be done. The biggest limitation will be you. Don't let that get in your head. Let's go to the next page. I want to talk to you about mental illness. This is serious. This is something serious. There's so much taboo about this, and even in our own families, in our own culture. This could be caused by anything, trauma or stress that you experienced when you were young. There's obviously some genetic factors, biochemical imbalances, a whole bunch of things and combinations. So what I'm going to tell you here is just things that you can use that can help. However, if there is a real serious mental issue, I always recommend you seek professional help because I'm not an expert there. So let's go to the next page. This is a sad reality, but approximately 1 in 4 adults will experience a mental health problem this year. This year, and actually, I'll take that back. This came out before even COVID was out. So imagine the numbers today. I should definitely look that up. What are some of the warning signs? You're worrying too much anxiety, too much sadness, too much irritability, a social withdrawal. That's something that I do. That's why I'm very conscious about it. Let me tell you something. One of the things that I constantly worry about is something's going to happen to the kids. I don't know if every mother goes through it. Sometimes I feel like I'm losing it, but I have to take it back and be like, my kids are going to be fine. My kids are going to be fine. Because if I don't, I start getting anxiety. Let's go to the next one. Here's how you can control it. And one of the speakers talked about this today. This relationships that you have matter. There are some relationships that are very toxic, yet we don't think they are. But who are you hanging with? Who are you spending your time with? Who do you listen to? Who do you get advice from? Who are you seeking to mentor you? Those relationships matter. Friendships, ask yourself, do you feel energized or do you feel deflated by the company that you keep? This is huge. This is huge when it comes to your mental ability. Did you know that, and I just found this out like 2 weeks ago, that people that live longer, it actually doesn't all have to do with health, although health is important. It has to do with their friendships. People that live longer, they have found that they have amazing friendships. I thought that was fascinating, so I wanted to share that. But when it comes to friends, you're in control of your life. You can choose who gets to be a part of it. Now, I get it. There are some family members that are negative, and we can't control that. I have some in my family too. But you choose how you react to those and the company you keep. Let's go to the next page. And here's why, because we must do whatever we can to stop the negativity from taking control of our lives. I'll give you an example. For a while, I would get on social media and the negativity was just through the roof. So one of the things that I decided to do is like, it was impacting me. I felt the palpitations, I was getting angry. And I said, why should I let this social media take control of my feelings, my emotions, and my mental health? I own that. Nobody else does. So I got off of it for a while. I had to. It was what I needed to do to take care of me. Negative thoughts, you also got to notice, when do they start? Is it when you're going to speak to a certain individual? Then we got to dig deeper. What else is there? Why am I thinking that? Is it, when I read something? Whatever that is, figure out what that is. Face it, address it. And if it can't be addressed and you are able to, move away from it. You have no idea how it impacts your ability to continue to take care of your personal life and your dreams. What do I do sometimes? Because I do get, negative thoughts and things in my head. Sometimes, let me tell you what works for me. I sing. I cannot sing, but I sing. Okay. I enjoy it, but my friends and family would tell you I can't, but hey, that's okay. I love to sing. So I do that. I walk. I call a positive friend. I seek help. I take a look at who are the people that are in my life that I can reach out to, that are going to talk to me and be a positive influence in my life. That is so important. Surround yourself with good people. Who are you listening to? Assess that. And if you don't have anybody, reach out to mentors. I'm sure the people that are on here listening today, there is a massive network that you can talk to. Set realistic goals, but please figure out what are those things that are giving you anxiety? What are those things that are causing you pain? And how can we control that negativity? And if you need professional help, please do so. Next, you must speak life. This is something that I found. And even when I speak to a lot of our college hires or some of our elders, speak life. I can do this. It's funny because my children go to this camp to teach them, kind of like a mini exercise camp. And one of the things that they teach them is, it says, I'm strong, I'm brave, I can do this, something like that. And I've taken this on. It's like they're teaching them already how to speak life, speak positive to themselves. I'm a conqueror. Speak life. Let's go to the next page. Here is why there are so many of us that are going around speaking negative things to our life. And guess who's listening? You are. You're listening to the negative things that you're saying about you. There is power in the tongue. And what you say drives your emotion, drives your stress. I have people that I mentor that are like, oh, well, I'm not good at this. I'm not good at that. I can't do this. Yet they're wondering why they don't get the next promotion. Because you are talking negative about yourself. If you're talking negative about yourself, how do you expect for the light to shine through you, for people to see how amazing you are? So make sure that whatever's coming out of your mouth matches your mission. You may not be there yet, but you know what? I am going to get that degree. I am going to be a doctor. I am going to do all this. Regardless, even if the world around me says no, I will do that. Speak positive and every day work towards that goal. Let's go to the next one. Here's one that I really enjoy. I'm sure you probably all have seen it. There are two wolves, and they're always fighting. One is darkness and one is despair. The other light and hope. Which one wins? It's the one you feed. You may be living in the darkness right now, but I ask you to speak life to it. I ask you to speak light. I am going to be out of here. When I was growing up and we were living in a basement and there's like 7 of us in one little bed and all this, I kept saying, I'm going to get out of here one day. I am going to get out of here. I'm going to make it. There was no way I was going to do that if I continued to say, this is what the world threw at me. No. And this is why I tell my story, to give an example and to show that, yes, you may be in the darkness right now, but speak light. Let's go to the next one. I thought it would be important to share with you some of the things that I think may be helpful if you know somebody that's going through mental illness, because this is serious and we see it all around our families. There are so many different things that we can do, but first of all, understand that this can happen to anyone at any point in time. Ask twice. When you ask somebody, are you okay? Ask them again and follow up. One of the things that I love about having positive people in my life and people that get to know you and you trust, they know who you really are. And when I'm not calling and when I'm not around, my friend will call and be like, what's wrong with you? Oh, nothing. Yep, I don't believe you because you're the outgoing, you're the energized one, you're doing this and that, and you just been pushing away everybody. So get to really know your loved ones. And if you have to offer professional help, look up that professional help and tell them, I'll go with you. Don't just give it to them and expect them to go. So that's just some little tidbits that you can help for somebody that may be going through it. And talk about mental illness. If that is something that you have struggled with, depression or different things, talk about it. Let's make it so that people know there is hope and there is help. Let's go to the last one. When I have the next page, please. And here is where I want to talk a little bit about the spiritual side. And this is critical because one of the things that I call this is level up. Many of us have different ways to experience spirituality. One of the things that I thought it was interesting is I found out there are 4,300 different religions in the world. So people believe in different things. The point is, how are you leveling up? How are you moviéndote al próximo nivel? This is why I call it. So some people do it with yoga, some people do it to different religious exercises. The point is that your spirituality may show up in hope, as they mentioned previously. It may show up in your faith, in your values, in your forgiveness. It takes you to a different level so that you can just go forward on that hope that you're going to get there, on the faith that you're going to arrive. It's taking that step forward, but to be able to connect spiritually. People do it different ways. Me personally, I have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, and that is what I do. I spend my time praying and I spend my time worshiping. That's what takes me to the next level. Let's go to the next page. I feel that at the end of the day, people have to do what's best for them. But what is the point of getting to the top and gaining the world, but then losing your peace? Remember how I told you that I had the great job, that I had the great story, the great house. I had it all, but I didn't have peace. I did not have peace. I was starting to dislike the things that I loved, my job, all the community, all the things that inspired me. And it wasn't until I started connecting spiritually with my faith that I was able to receive peace. So this is critical. Whatever that is for you, seek it. Don't just stop at the exercise. Don't just stop at the emotions. Don't just stop at the mental health. And this is the reason why I like going from this book, The Corporate Athlete, because you need all four. So let me go to the next page. And we will take a look at a few of this. This is different ways that you can make your life spiritually stronger. I won't go through all of these, but use your talents. You have talents. There may be talents that people may say, oh, that's not going to be good enough. They're your talents. They were given to you for the reason. Leverage your strengths. For a very long time, and in many places, we continue to say, oh, you have to do this. So many opportunities, so many things you're doing wrong. What are your strengths? Use your talent. There may be raw talents today. Just like that teacher noticed my leadership skills. And she said, they're raw, Merary, but we can work on that. Use your talents. They will shine through. When you use your talents, it's going to come out. So use that. Serve those in need. There are people out there that need to see us in these platforms. You don't need to be an executive to be here and help somebody that's in need. It could be you speaking life into what they do. It's when you hear somebody say, oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, it's too late for me to go back to school. Oh, I got an accent, so I'm not really good at presenting, or I'm embarrassed to speak up. You know how you serve those in need? One way is telling them, no, mija, no, mijo, you can do this. It takes practice. I'll practice with you. I may not know what you're talking about, but I'll practice with you. Serve those in need. as well as obviously other things that you could do for the community, for those that need our help. Spend the time in nature, go for walks. That is a way to get, at your spiritual side. Be a river, not a swamp. That means be positive, right? And then make sure that you restore the faith in humanity. And what do I mean by that? Maybe somebody's trusting you with something. Take care of that. Build that trust in humanity. Let's go to the next page. The key thing here is that you got to work on all four. So one of the things that I found in my life, and you mentioned the other day that I was like getting irritated, or I was eating too much, or I didn't want to work out. One of the things that we got to think about is this: you have to work on all four. So one of the things I found is something starts going wrong, I have to do a quick assessment. I said, which one am I not doing? Ooh, I thought I stopped working out. That's not good. Okay, let me start walking again. Oh, I stopped, my praying time, my spiritual time. Let me dig into that again. Oh, I'm letting my emotions, I got into an argument, let's say with a family member, and now my emotions are just going crazy. Let's bring that again. Let me forgive. Let me move on. Oh, I'm getting too stressed out. I keep thinking about this. I'm getting anxiety. Okay, what is it going on with my mental? Do I need professional help? Or is this something that I can start working slowly? Who are the negative people? Who are the people that are contributing to my negativity in my life? And what am I going to do to build something positive? So it takes all four. It may seem difficult, but one of the things that I can tell you is start small. Start small. If you never walked in your life, honestly, walking, for 5 minutes will be huge. If you never had the opportunity to emotionally plot down, what are the things that worry me? What are the things that are causing me mental anxiety? Who are the people that I haven't forgiven? Write it down. Let's go to the next page. I want to leave you with this today. Remember that the greatest limitations you will ever face will be those that you place on yourself. I could go on and on for hours on all the different examples on how you can make it work. But it takes discipline. It takes you deciding that I want to live my life, that I want to be present, that I'm going to become a role model. Even at 60 years old, I'm going to be a role model. Let me tell you, my mother is a role model to me. She never finished high school. But that woman is out there. She's preaching, she's presenting, she's doing all these things. She's a role model. I don't care what age you are, you can be a role model to somebody. So let's start. It's time for action. Let's go to the next page. There's one thing that I want you to do. Let's go to the next page again. It's okay to start small, but it's not okay not to start. So today, if you're still here with me, number one, I thank you. But number two, I need you to take action. You need to take action for yourself. Because if you don't, you just felt inspired or maybe not, but you lost this time. So do something about it. Take the ownership in your own hands. Let's go to the next slide. I want you to think of one thing right now, one thing that you're going to start doing different out of all the things that I gave you today. One thing. Because self-care is what makes it possible for you to achieve your fullest potential. When you take care of your mind, when you take care of your body, when you take care of your emotions, when you take care of your soul, you can be 100% who you were meant to be. And then finally, let's go to the next page. If you're like me, that you live of your cell phone, you have to put it on my calendar. If it's not on my calendar, it never happened. I can tell you that if my kids have an activity and it's not on my calendar, it doesn't happen. So I live by it. That includes, I'm going to work out at this time. That also includes, I'm going to read some scripture, or I'm going to do something positive, or I'm going to do something here, there, whatever it is. The key is not to just put it on your calendar and press snooze. The key is to take action, no matter what you're doing on that time. Take action. And with that, I would just say to you that it's time to arise and shine. Let's go to the last page. You were meant for greatness. Look how far we come. and look how much more you can do. I hope that today, if there's anything that you gain, is to know that it is possible. Yes, it takes hard work. Yes, it takes discipline. Yes, it is not going to be easy. But when you take care of yourself, you can do limitless things. Thank you for your time today.
Merary, thank you so much. And like I was told, you do not disappoint. Love your presentation. And I have tons of comments that have come into the chat that are saying the same thing about you and your presentation and what an inspiration you are. But I want to share something with you really quick because it is actually from your hometown.
Yes.
And I'm not going to translate because it's directly from Merary. So here it is. He disfrutado tanto esta conferencia, los estudiantes están en línea y es feriado acá. Agradezco tanto la oportunidad, ellos están emocionados y yo también. Gracias.
Oh, no, gracias. Y es un honor de San Germán, Puerto Rico, ¿verdad?
Sí.
Nacida y criada en San Germán. So gracias. I am rooting for you, Team Puerto Rico Sajermeño. So thank you. It is an honor to be here and represent mi isla, represent you, and most important, make my parents proud.
And just to go on to some of the other comments that are coming through, like we had mentioned to our previous speakers, there are a big population of our senior participants from across the U.S. today with us, and they are inspired about what you said today about age and about having no limitations, whether you're young or you're old, or whether you're just getting started or you're picking up where you left off. You are amazing about talking to that point and sharing that with our participants. And as a mother, wife, daughter, I can relate to some of what you said at the beginning of your presentation about doing so many things but finding the perfect balance. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you find your perfect balance?
Absolutely. And you know, it's always going to be, there's not going to be a perfect balance. So some days it's going to be up and some days I'm going to go down. I'm going to give you one more example. Think about it like this. What are the crystal balls in your life and what are the rubber balls? Okay, so you all know crystal balls, when they fall, they shatter, right? The rubber balls, they could bounce up. So one of the things that I learned in my life is that my health is a crystal ball. If my health goes, there is no mommy, there is no sister, there is no me, right? The other thing that I learned is that my husband and my children, I don't want to lose that relationship. So they're my crystal ball. And the hardest one that I had to come to terms is that my job is a rubber ball. Because as you know, that was what I lived my whole life. It's on being successful, being a role model to so many Latinas and Latinos out there. And I had to come to terms with that. But that is my guide. And what do I say that it's a rubber ball? It means that I continue to work towards it. I don't put it aside, but that I know that mis hijos, mi familia, you know, they come first. They're a priority. Because if my relationship with them shatters, then my emotions, my mental health, and everything else is going to go out the window. So that is how I look at it. I hope that answers your question, but that's how I'm able to balance is which are the crystal balls. And to some people, they may not, you know, there may be other crystal balls. Maybe their crystal ball is I want to retire early or I want to do this. Or I want to go. That's okay. But what are those crystal balls that you're holding? Treasure them. And one of them, I hope, is your health.
Another question that came in, Merary, was, you know, we know that you're a VP at PepsiCo and you have a family and you're going to school. Can you share with all the women out there that are trying to accomplish something similar on how to do that?
Absolutely. And the one thing that I would say is there's going to be good days and there's going to be bad days. But one of the things that you got to look is at the bigger scope. So as an executive and as a mom, there are going to be things that I'm not going to be good at, right? I'm not going to be at all my kids' soccer practice, even though they're pretty amazing, right? But I am going to be at their every game. So I make sure that even my daughter that's 6 years old, I speak to her. You go, Mamita, mommy can't go here, but I'm going to be in these games. And she expects me to be there. And you want to talk about when your whole life and some things fall off. If I'm in that game and I'm that crazy mom that I'm like, go, Raya, you know, that I'm there screaming. If I'm not present like that, she's like, Mommy, are you okay? You weren't cheering for me. This is why it's so important. When I'm there for her, I'm there for her. I'm not in everything. I'm going to be really honest. I am not. There are some days that, I cook. There's some days that I'm like, listen, we're just going to get some pizza, and that is what's going to happen today. And that's okay. But the other thing that I would say is take a look around you and build those resources. When I first moved to Texas, my husband and I, we didn't have any family here. And at this time, I went to a local church, and then I went to other people who they became my resources. When my children got sick, I had to really build trust with a few people. I don't trust everybody. If you're anything like me, I don't trust people with my kids. So I had to really build relationships because I knew I needed, they were going to get sick. They're little. So I built those relationships, and I managed that network to make sure to help me with the kids. In the meantime, I was able to bring my parents. So now I also take care of my parents. So you got to leverage your network. You can't do it alone. You can do everything that I told you, but you can't do it alone. So I leveraged that network, and I had to build that trust to say, you know what, Melissa, I need your help. I hate asking you, but can you please take care of my kids today? And you just build that around you. And as hard as it is, let me tell you, because my husband knows I'd let nobody stay with my kids. And I had to do that. I had to open it up and build that trust to do that. And even to take care of my parents. When my parents are sick, it's like, okay, ¿quién va a hacer qué? We need to build a plan, because if not, it falls on you. And trust me, even though I'm all up for woman power, the best way for us to leverage our power is to leverage those people around us. So that's what I've learned. And then you can do more. But look, the kids are still good. They love their mom. They're fine. They're doing great. So
Somebody is sending a comment, Merary, and I want to ask you about this because I've experienced this myself, where I'm away from home, and as Latinos and most cultures, we're so used to being around family. And this person is saying, Miss Simeon, you gave me hope. Thank you so much. Being so far away from my family is very hard on me. I feel very depressed, but today is a new day. So what can you tell our audience that is having that kind of life experience where they're away from their loved ones because they're trying to do something with themselves?
absolutely. And more than ever, this is harder because of COVID. And there's people, I mean, I don't know if most Latinos are like that, but I am. Like, I love to hug, I love to to just have those conversations. And it's been like, sucking out my energy because I can't hug and show that love of, that I want to give. So one of the things I would have to say is definitely leverage the technology. Talk, have that communication, do it. It's not the same, but you don't want to miss out that opportunity. I can tell you that at first, for me, how it impacted me is like, I didn't want to talk to anybody. I'm just like, it's not the same. I was being this negative. Okay. What I told you not to be. And then what I realized is like, you know what? I still need to talk to my nieces and nephews. I still, they want to hear me. I still want to talk to my aunts and uncles. And I'm lucky to have my parents here. But at the end of the day, I needed even to speak to my friends. And when I mean speak, I don't just mean text. I'm talking about we need to pick up the phone and have those conversations. And more than ever, I tell people I love them so much. Like, I think my kids just think that I love it. Like, I love you is like a normal thing for everybody. Because I'll be talking to my friends. I'm like, man, I love you. And we need it. Just know I need it. So if I need it, other people need it. And sometimes it's just being able to talk and just tell other people that you love them. If check on the people that are alone, check on the people that are older, check on the people that love to hug. Just check up on them because they need to hear from you. So whatever you're doing, if you're going through something so difficult, just do that. One of the things that I taught my daughter, because I travel a lot. So one of the things that I taught my daughter, and she would be on the video crying with her little hands up, and my son too, is I told them, okay, let's do a virtual hug. So to this day, when they go and they go to school, I drop them off, they're like, we go like this and we close our, and I'm like, just know what that feels like. And that worked for us. Now, Melissa, is never going to replace the real hug, but just when we do that and we close our eyes, we imagine that we're hugging each other. And it has worked for me because I imagine hugging them. And trust me, it's hard when the kids are crying and they're like, Mommy, no te veo. And I'm like, well, Mommy's going to be there and we're going to enjoy ourselves. So when I am with them, the phone gets turned off. Like, everything goes off. It's my time with them. Even on what I watch more cartoon movies that I care to, but that's their time. That's their time. And they know that mommy's there 100%. So I hope that helps. But get that ritual that is going to be like, oh, you know, like when they see it's like, I'm hugging them. I'm giving you a hug, mamita. And she's like, okay, mommy. My son is smaller. He's like nonchalant, but her, she's more, she wants to get that virtual hug.
Well, our time is coming down to an end, so we don't want to take a lot of your time here, but I'm going to ask you this last question because you mentioned something that resonated not only for me, but our conference and hopefully with everyone at home is that, you don't have to be an executive. You don't have to be an engineer. You don't have to have a PhD to be a role model. Right? We all need role models and they come in different shapes and forms. Can you talk a little bit more to our community about how to empower others to be role models and to look for that?
Yep. No, that's a great question. And I could tell you, I didn't realize I was doing this early, but I would say it's all about paying it forward. So for example, when I first got into a community college, I went back to my high school and I started helping the kids that were in English as a second language, helping them just translate stuff. You can do that. And to give you an idea, I had only been in the States for like 5 years, so my English wasn't all that good. But you know what? I inspired somebody else to say, hey, I'm like this, and I still went to college, right? So I think that's one. I think the other thing is we should use our experiences. Let's say you're older. Use your experiences as a way to motivate others on their resiliency. I think a lot of us just think, oh, I haven't accomplished anything. No, you know what? You took your family out of your country. You came here with nothing. You raised children. You are inspiring. So it's the way we tell our story. So I think, being able to show that, like, I am at awe that my parents could do that for 5 kids. So those are the things that I would say. So that's one. And I would say, you, believe it or not, you are the shadow to somebody else. Somebody else is looking at you. Whether you think you have it together or not, you choose what role model you want to be. You choose what inspiration you want to be. Because at the end of the day, we all have little cousins, sisters, primos. If you're anything like me, everybody's your cousin. Somebody's looking at you. So how you choose and how you instill your own words and your actions, it's what's going to show. Because I think at the end of the day, people see, like they tell you, what do they say? Do as I say, not as I do. That's the way to be a role model. So I would say, my mom, even though she didn't finish school, she's always studying. Like if you hear my mom talk, she's like, people are like, oh my God, your mother speaks so eloquent. And what school did she go to? I'm like, she didn't graduate high school. But she didn't stop there. She reads, le gusta aprender. She just likes to do those things. You could be a role model. You don't need an education, but yes, you do need to want to inspire somebody else. Your story, I don't care where it is. I bet you I'll hear it and we'll talk about like, wow, that's amazing. What you've accomplished is amazing. So that's the way that I would do it. Look around you. Somebody's looking at you and somebody's waiting for you to arise and shine so that they could walk into that light. So, that's the way that I would put it.
Gracias, Merary. Gracias por tu tiempo. Gracias por tus consejos a toda la comunidad. And thank you again in English this time for everything you do for our community. We are proud of you and we will continue watching to see what you do in the future. So thank you for your time, Merary.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.